Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Jessica Ryder of Sage Root Nutrition. Jessica, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Thank you. Hey, everyone. Yeah, I'm excited to do this.
Yeah, me too. Super excited to have you on. And what I wanted to do was just read a little bit more about Jessica so you can hear about all the awesome things that she's doing. And she is a straightforward woman who gets stuff done and who's tired of the woo-woo diet culture. She decided in order to change her life and understand what food works for her body, she had to study it herself. With Sage Root Nutrition, she hopes to be the voice for those in the middle, not your bodybuilder diehard and not your couch potato, but the woman that just wants to understand what food works for her and enjoys indulgences here and there. We all have an endpoint, so it's time to sit up and live your life, not based on anyone else, but what works for the soul in your body. Sage Root Nutrition gives you concrete steps to build out the true woman you want to be. Jessica, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
I am so ready. Let's do this.
Let's do it. So to kick everything off, I wanted to hear a little bit more about what I call your CEO story, and we'll let you start your business.
Yeah. So I'm sure like most women, diet journey has been a long one for them. They've tried this, they've tried that. It's been a roller coaster, everything else. And I'm no different. I did the same roller coaster. But I got to the point where I was done with it. I'm like, look, the only way that I'm going to get off this whole thing is if I figure out what food's going to actually work for my body. So at that point, I was working from home. I was working in a job that allowed me to work from home. And I said, guess what? I'm going to start studying nutrition. And I actually went into one of the local supplement stores, figured out how those guys were licensed or, certified or whatever, looked it up and did it myself. And then after I'm like halfway through this and people are asking me, they're like, what are you doing? How are you doing this? And I'm like, well, this is what I'm doing. And I'm like, I know that I can give people the resources that they need to do this on their own. And that's the whole point is you're not going to be in this one size fits all. I don't fit into that category. I don't fit into that category because I have this that goes on in my system, So what can I do? And then how can I help people get to the point where it's you figure out you, and then here's some tools that you can do to stay on that path.
That makes perfect sense.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't be you do this because it's a popular thing. You do that because it works for you. Right. And you've tested it and you know how your body works. And, my clients come out and they're like, I never realized how much this certain food like dairy or gluten or something affected me until I didn't have it. And then I realize now, if I want that certain food, what my limitations are, when I should stop eating. And so I don't overeat. So that's really where I started with it. And that's where I wanted to take it.
Nice. Well, I definitely appreciate that. And I heard somewhere, and I can't remember exactly where, but I always, have heard, and I usually always say is that sometimes you are your best doctor, in the sense that I think a lot of times for your health, we would always look to doctors or look to, certain magazines or celebrity, whatever that might be, to be the answer. But in reality, sometimes we have to use that advice, that information as tools, but we have to really listen and pay attention to what our body's doing or not doing, or it's hard to really understand if that would work. That might work for that person, but it may not necessarily work for you.
And what's sad is some research that I've read is that this is changing now, but in the past, doctors were not required to take a nutrition class. It was an elective offered, and only, a handful of doctors actually took a nutrition class. So here they are, they're super knowledgeable on, gynecology, or they're super knowledgeable on, emergency medicine, right, but they're not knowledgeable on the food. And right, how food, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was eye-opening, and you're absolutely right. Go to the doctor, get blood work, understand, but then take that information into your own hands and find the right resource and path for you. I mean, the information is unlimited now.
Right. Yeah, it's all at our fingertips.
It's all at our fingertips.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to drill a little bit deeper and hear exactly what you're doing with Sage Root Nutrition. Could you tell us, how you work with clients and how that process goes?
Yeah. So I work with clients in two different capacities. I have a group program and I have a one-on-one program. And in a one-on-one program, these are the people that are, um, they're just completely, they may be completely lost and they're just, I don't know where to start. And I don't work well in group settings. I need that one-on-one. And that is, you know, we're drilling deep. We're talking weekly. You're getting a weekly meal plan from me. We are hitting your goals. And then in the group program, it's very similar, only it's not as much hand holding. So what I found for myself is that, you know, I am a self-starter by nature.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be perfectly fine in a group program where I've got some accountability partners. I got the leader checking in with us every once in a while, but I can do this on my own. If you just give me, you know, how do I set up my meal plan? What meals for what I'm trying to do should I be eating? You know, where should I be targeting? I can I can do this on my own. As opposed to the one-on-one who they're like, I can't do it all on my own at all. You know, I need you telling me at 7 a.m. you are eating this, right? So those are the two different clients that I serve. But regardless of that, everyone goes through a 4 to 6 week testing period. So where we are drilling down, what foods does your body actually want and use appropriately? And we start with those little habits as well. First and foremost, we start with drinking water.
Mm-hmm.
Because a majority of the people are like, oh yeah, I drink water. I'm like, okay, well, how many of these do you get in a day? You
Right.
know, how many 32-ounce jugs do you get in a day? Oh, I drink about 2. Okay. So you're getting 64 ounces in, but is that enough for your body?
Right.
Probably not, you know? So it's building those little habits in 4 to 6 week periods so that when we jump off into focused goals, whether again, one-on-one or group, you're ready to go and you've already got about 6 weeks worth of habits built in there.
Yeah, that's definitely huge, and I love that way that you have it broken off into those two, I guess, avenues. Because, like you said, you know, you have people that are the self starters that are able to just be in a group and may even get energy from people that are in the group as well. Too, somebody's hitting their goal, now you want to hit your goal, and so on and so forth. That's just a great energy that's happening, and then others might want a little bit more, one on one, and want somebody, one person, I should say, to just kind of make sure they're doing everything, and they might have more of an intimate kind of conversation in that setting. So I appreciate you having both those opportunities.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
now I wanted to ask you for what I call your secret sauce, and it could be for you or it could be for your organization. But what you feel kind of sets you apart and makes you unique.
I think for me, what absolutely sets me apart in my mission and anything that I do in my life, honestly, is to be the voice for everybody in the middle. I
Mm.
think so many times, um, and middle in a lot of sense, middle as in middle America. I live and grew up in St. Louis. We are middle America. I'm not running the beach every day. I'm not, in New York running those streets every day.
Right.
I'm in St. Louis. I'm walking my streets here in my community. Um, and at the same time, the voice for those people in the middle that, look, I can't afford to hire the personal trainer, the dietitian. I don't know that I need that, but I need more than just, hey, I'm going to pick up this book and try to figure it out myself.
Mm.
I'm in the middle, right? I need a little bit more help. I need a little bit more accountability, but I also don't need somebody like breathing down my neck,
Right.
like or I don't want to go to a dietitian or something like that. I just need somebody with the practical day to day what I can do, and that really stems from what I needed. I felt like I could read all these books, I could go on the internet and search all this stuff. How do I apply it?
Right.
What do I do? Um, and then hiring somebody super big and there's a guy here in St. Louis. I mean, he's expensive. He's super expensive. And people have success More times than not, they revert back to their old ways because they haven't changed their mindset.
Right.
But it's super expensive and I knew I couldn't afford that. So I got to find something in the middle. And so I think that's what makes me unique is I'm speaking to those people in the middle. You know, the mom that's running her kid to practice 3 nights a week and all she wants to do is stop going through McDonald's.
Right.
Awesome. Let's talk about ways you can do that. You know, and I think the other thing too is I will work more with mind than the actual food. You know, I was just talking to a client this morning and she's doing a very, very noble thing in that she's helping a friend who's battling cancer.
Mm.
So she is taking this friend to her treatments once a week. And she's like, man, when I come home, I may have my food prepped. She goes, but it's not prepped to the point that it's like just microwave 10 minutes or, 2 minutes and be done. She goes, but I'm so mentally exhausted from taking my friend to her chemo treatment and I'm emotionally exhausted. So that weighs so heavy into whatever her decision is when she gets home to eat.
Right.
And she's been eating bad,
Yeah.
and she's like, I go, you need to stop and take a step back and realize that you are going to be emotionally spent when you come home. So how can you prepare for that?
Yeah.
It's dealing with that mind, those mind tricks and getting out of those. That's a lot of what I work with as well. And I tell a lot of clients, give yourself grace. This is a process. You are not going to lose weight overnight. Sure, maybe a pound or two, but you did not put it on overnight. You're not going to lose it overnight.
Right. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, and I appreciate you because I was actually going to ask you to drill down a little bit deeper on that mindset aspect, and I think that's a huge thing because I think sometimes we will beat ourselves up, whether it be for weight or for what we're eating or goals, whatever it might be, when we don't do exactly like a computer says we should do, that we're not robotic and that we have off days or that we're spent that day, or maybe we sat in traffic the entire day. So when we get home, we don't want to eat the best thing. But I think what you spoke to was actually understanding that that is a reality of what happens. So you understand that, so it allows you to arm yourself against that a little bit better. So you understand that if you have a long day, maybe you're going to be more likely to want to, go to McDonald's or go to whatever, fast food restaurant. But if you're aware of that, that allows you to kind of counteract that, it sounds like.
Exactly. And the whole point of anything that I do is to know your body. So to know that, okay, I am, on a vacation with family and there's this one restaurant we always go to. So I really want to indulge because I always get the fettuccine Alfredo, whatever it is, you get to enjoy that, but you also know your body enough to know, okay, I can have 5 bites of this and then I'm done.
Right.
I tell clients all the time, look, my 3 favorite things to try when I go to a restaurant are nachos, biscuits and gravy, and cinnamon rolls. I will order it every time. I might only have 2 or 3 bites, depending on how good it tastes. But I know my body enough to know when to stop.
Yeah.
And that's just as much mindset as it is knowing your gut and your fullness levels and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's great, especially because a lot of times people think you have to get, like you kind of touched on that, super expensive celebrity fitness trainer to be able to make those changes in your life. But a lot of times it might be, instead of eating, all the bites, you decide to eat 2 or 3 bites and just making those small little changes so that you can start to see the results that you ultimately want.
Exactly. And again, it could be flip side of that too. I know, like, my mother-in-law makes the absolute best coconut cream pie. So if I know Thursday night we're going to her house for dinner and I know she's going to make coconut cream pie, you better bet in my head, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday during the day, I am on point with my eating. Right. I am not going to get off track because I am going to have a whole big old piece of pie when I get to her house. So right. It's just as much balancing those things as it is, again, mindset, working through not beating yourself up when you have a whole piece of pie, but preparing for that piece of pie.
Exactly, exactly. And preparation is definitely everything. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit and I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you for what I call a CEO hack. And this might be an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but it's something that makes you more effective and efficient.
So my morning routine never wavers. Doesn't matter if I get up at 4:45, my regular time,
Mhm.
or if I get up at 8 p.m. or not 8 p.m., 8 a.m. on a Friday or something, or on the weekend, my morning routine is the same. There's journaling involved, which is very helpful for me to get a lot of things out. I do read for at least 10 minutes every morning. And it can be a business book. It could be, just whatever, but I read and I'm, growing my mind that way. And then I grow my body as far as working out and things like that. And then obviously getting good food in. So the biggest thing to me is setting yourself up for the day. I'm super type A. I'm very organized. I have checklists out the wazoo.
Mhm.
Things like Evernote has been great for keeping track of all my notes. Asana is great for mapping out content, keeping track of clients, putting in tasks and all that kind of stuff. I use Slack a lot for communication with clients because it can be a pretty private little group of just 4 or 5 of you. So that's been great. And of course the other things like Zoom and Sendable to set up content and scheduling and all that kind of stuff. But to me, it seriously all goes back to that morning routine
Yeah.
and setting myself up for the day. And um, my husband and I camped, and we were camping this past weekend.
Mhm.
And he's like, "Where are you going?" Because we would be up till 11:30, 12 at night, just sitting around with friends, talking and everything like that. And then I'd be up at 7. And he's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I took my journal, I took my book, and I walked down to the water, to the lake. And I did my morning routine, And he's like, "We're on vacation." I go, "My morning routine doesn't waver.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sets me up. Then I have one thing checked off my list, and I am successful for the rest of the day."
Yeah, it's funny you say that because a lot of times, even on quote unquote days off or vacations or whatever, you feel that energy when you start to do those certain things on a regular basis. So even though you're on vacation or it's your day off or whatever that may be, you still want to have that energy, whether you decide to go back to sleep or you decide to go to campfire, or decide to go work and do all those things. But that
Mhm.
energy, if you're able to replicate that, then that helps you to have and propel you into a great day.
Yeah, and absolutely, it might be Sunday morning and I still do that. And I'm like, okay, now I'm good with cleaning the bathrooms and mopping the floors. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Right.
Or going to the grocery store, doing the laundry, those things that I hate doing. But if I can get up and do my morning routine, then I'm like, bam, I can knock this other stuff out in an hour. I'm cool. And then
Right.
I'll be done for the day.
Exactly, exactly. So now I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO nugget, and this might be a word of wisdom or a piece of advice, or if you can hop into a time machine, what would you tell your younger business self?
So this actually just came up for me last night and this morning. So as a CEO, I have a hard time thinking of myself in that term
Mhm.
because I'm just, I'm getting started. I've got several things going on, but um, block out the noise that you don't want to listen to or that isn't serving you.
Mhm.
I've got a couple of, uh, I've got a marketing and branding coach that helped me with a lot of stuff. And then I've gotten into kind of a leadership group.
Mhm.
And I realized this morning, I'm like, I need to stop listening to people that haven't made it,
Yeah.
and that's not to say what they're saying is bad. I may still listen to them, but what I focus on is listening to those things with where I want to go.
Mhm.
For instance, in the leadership group that I'm in, the two guys running that each have $400 million empires,
Mhm.
right? So I sit back and go, well, why am I listening to these 5 podcasts with these people that are nowhere, or as far as building a business, when I should be listening to these people that have built a $400 million empire?
Right.
and they have given me the opportunity to be in a circle with them. So I think that's my nugget, is to find those people that are where you want to be and get laser focused on listening to them. And because those are the people that are going to tell you, it took me 10 years to get to this point. It took me 15 years to get to 400 million. Okay, got it. I'm locked in for the next 15 years because this is where I want to go.
Right.
It's not going to happen, and if it happens in 10, cool. It's because I took their advice and they shortened down that time period for me. Instead of, okay, I'm getting this little nugget from this podcast and this from this and this, all these different things or all these different books, and I have no idea how to apply it.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. And I feel like it's kind of in accordance with exactly what you said before with how you work with clients, where you're not listening to all these different things. You're listening to yourself and then where you want to be. And rather than deviate from that and listen to, the person that says do this or the person that says do that, or this, the person that may not have been exactly where you want to go, you're actually staying in alignment with exactly what it is you're trying to do.
Exactly. I mean, you can be like somebody else. It's like, I want to lose 100 pounds, but first and foremost, should you lose 100 pounds?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Is that goal to be at 120 pounds even realistic for you?
Right.
Same with being a CEO and a business owner. Is your idea, is it realistic that you can be a $400 million company with that?
Right.
If it is, then awesome. Follow the people that have built $400 million companies and get to where they are.
Right.
If it's more like, hey, this is a hobby, it's a side gig, and you're not gonna, then follow those people that it's a hobby and it's a side gig, instead of trying to pull from everything and figuring out how to apply it to you.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I know you touched on this a little bit, but I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on this show. So Jessica, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Responsibility.
Mm.
It means that I have a dream big enough that I want to do with my life, that I get to bring others into it and hopefully have them be on board with my dream and get to touch and give resources to a lot more people, because I am the CEO, I'm the boss, whatever. I'm not going to lie. It also means freedom. It also means being my own boss. It also means doing things my own way. So it's freedom, but it's also responsibility.
Right.
Responsibility for yourself, responsibility for your income. Scary. I think all those words fall under CEO, but to me, it means, doing things my own way, making the impact that I want to make the way I want to make it.
Absolutely. Yes. You definitely get the freedom to do all those things. You get the freedom to take on that responsibility to make the world a better place, to empower teammates and employees and so on and so forth. So I definitely appreciate that definition and that perspective. And I definitely appreciate your time even more, Jessica. What I wanted to do was pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let the readers and listeners know. And then, of course, how best they can find out about all the awesome things you're working on.
Sure. I think the biggest thing is give yourself grace. Whether you're the CEO, whether you're someone trying to lose weight, whether you're someone, that just wants to eat better, give yourself grace. It's a journey. You gotta, so many people say it best, you have to fall in love with the process. And I'm a process operations mindset. That's the way my mind works. So I've fallen in love with the process. So fall in love with the process of learning to eat better for your body. Fall in love with the process of building your business, and give yourself grace along the way, because you're going to do something wrong. Heck, I just found out this morning I had some weird other YouTube channel out there. And I'm like, well, where'd that come from? I have no idea. Well, I accidentally posted 3 things to it. And I'm like, okay, we'll figure that one out, right? That's the joy and beauty of being a CEO and being in charge of everything, is oh shoot, I clicked the wrong button, you
Right.
know? So give yourself grace. That stuff's going to happen. You're going to slip up. Be truthful about it, and people will forgive it. People will absolutely do that. So they can definitely find me on Facebook, Sage Root Nutrition with Jessica Ryder. Also, my website, which is sagerootnutrition.com. And I am on Instagram as JNR Ryder. Yeah, I'll be LinkedIn. You know, if anybody's out there and wants to hook up on LinkedIn, it's Jessica Ryder on LinkedIn. I don't use Twitter all that much.
Okay.
I don't. I mean, I'm there, but I
Yeah.
don't use it all that much.
Yeah.
So
Mostly it's big around journalists and stuff, but
yeah,
yeah, we'll definitely have those links so that everybody can follow up with you as well. And I appreciate that reminder of grace, because I feel like the good thing about, when you make mistakes, it means that you're taking action. But we all make mistakes. And when we make mistakes, it's going to happen. So give yourself grace and cut yourself some slack on doing that, because that just means that you're taking action and you're moving forward. So I thank you. I thank you for reminding us of that. And I overall thank you again for your time. I hope you have a great rest of the day.
thank you.